Do you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the it's Principles of Management is the name of your course, and the first unit you have the nature of organization, and we'll try to first define what organization is. Okay, uh, so so according to Stephen Robbins, this is the definition that I like the most. You can define organization in quite many quite many ways, but this is one of the definitions which I think is a complete definition which covers everything about organization. Okay, so according to Stephen Robbins, an organization is a consciously coordinated social entity. So please try to understand some of the very important terminologies that are there in this definition. So it's a consciously coordinated. So one of the very important terms that you find in this definition is an organization is something that is coordinated consciously. And the second very important feature of organization that you see in this definition is it's a social entity, because we agreed upon one of the things in the last class that organization, whenever we say organization, there are people in there, right? So it's the social entity with a relatively identifiable boundary. Means organization also has a boundary, all right, that functions on a relatively continuous basis. So another important feature that you see here is a relatively continuous basis to achieve a common goal or set of goals. So this is a very, very comprehensive, very complete kind of a definition that we have, and we'll try to do a little bit of more deep analysis of what it is actually trying to say, this definition. So organization is a consciously coordinated, means it is something that does not crop up on its own. It is deliberately formed. Okay, it is deliberately managed by allocating or assigning tasks to people to interact with. Either it is about the development of the task relationship, or the people relationship in there. So this is a deliberately made entity. This is a deliberately, consciously organized entity. Okay, so there you have now deliberately assigned tasks to different members or elements in that organization, in that group, or in that social entity that is said. It's a social entity, means it's the group of people. It's a social body, okay, where there are people working together. And it also says that it has got an identifiable boundary. Means organization, you can identify organization, the members of the organization. You can distinguish between who are the members of organization, what is included in the organization, and what is something that is outside the organization or which is not the part of organization. So there is a distinct barrier, or there is a distinct boundary which differentiates organization from non-organization elements. Okay, we can truly understand that this much is the organization and these are the members, of these are the elements of organization. So that boundary actually, or that boundary actually sets a line between what is an organization and what is not organization. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so there is a boundary to distinguish organization from its non-organizational members or elements. and it functions on a relatively continuous basis. Means whenever we say that it's an organization, there is certain lifespan of that organization. It is not something that is created temporarily without achieving the objective. You disband it. There is certain span of time for which it has to continue. So there is a life of that organization. There is certain time for which the organization has to exist. So that is why it is said that it functions relatively on a continuous basis. Okay, it's not something that just uh, is formed and disbanded. There are certain organizations which are temporary in nature, but they will definitely work continuously with a view to achieving the goal that they have intended to achieve. Okay, and the most important thing is organization is organized to achieve certain goal or goals. Okay, so these are the features of organization. Now, is it clear? Is this clear to everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so do you have anything to everybody is clear about this definition? So whenever we, as we discussed in the last class, that was also a very fundamental kind of definition, and it's totally correct. Whenever whoever said that organization is a group of people working together to achieve a certain goal, that is actually a very fundamental, basic definition of an organization. But if you look at this definition given by Stephen Robbins, then this tends to have more completeness, trying to cover everything that organization has to identify as an organization. Okay, all right.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so just to do respond to me whenever I ask you, because I have to also be sure that you're understanding the things. All right.
Okay, sir.
Okay, now talking about organizations, there are different types of organization. Okay, there are different types of organizations. Some organizations are large organization, big organizations, and some organizations are small organizations. Some organizations are organized to make profit. They are profit making organizations, and there are also organizations which are not for profit. There are organizations which are private organizations. There are organizations which are public organizations. Okay, so you can see organizations in different dimensions and different perspectives. If you look at organizations, then there are organizations which are you know organized for a very long time, whereas there are also certain organizations which are organized for a short period of time. So in this way, we can have many different kinds of organizations. Now, let's just try to give a quick look at uh, what could be the difference between small organization and a large organization. Let me ask Manish Bhandari.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, how could a small organization be different from a large organization? How can they be different? In what aspects can they be different?
Mm, Mostly it can be different on the basis of their employees or the people working for the organization. Also, their
Number of people working for the organization, right? So there will be more people working in large organization and less people working in small organization. That is it.
yes,
Okay.
and another aspect, the number of projects they are doing also may affect the small organization and the big organization.
Okay.
And the another aspect maybe the size of the organization as well.
What is size? What defines size?
Maybe the building or the workplace where they are working.
Okay, the size of their building. If it's a big building, it's a big organization. If it's a small building, it's a small organization, is it?
It may be also because a small organization can't afford the big building.
Okay.
I think only these are in my
So
mind.
number of people, size of the building,
Number of projects.
number of projects.
Yes, sir.
All right. So anything to add upon that, Amrit?
मार्केट डिमान्ड पनि हुन सक्छ प्रोडक्टको
Market demand means the sales that you make, is it?
त्यस्तै अब कुनै पनि प्रोडक्टको कुनै कुनैको चाहिँ अब हाई डिमान्ड भएको चाहिँ अब धेरै
Demand comes from the market side, right?
यस
So how does demand make you big or small?
प्रोडक्ट कुनै पनि प्रोडक्टको डिमान्ड धेरै भएपछि अब त्यो प्रोडक्सन पनि धेरै हुन्छ अनि त्यही अनुसार
Okay.
चाहिँ
So that is what I'm saying. If your sales is very high,
यस
हैन, demand धेरै छ, but you are not selling, अब सानै पनि बस्न सक्छ नि त, हैन? If that is it, you will be a small organization. But if you are the sales, अर्को चाहिँ sales र revenue बाट पनि define हुन्छ भन्न खोजेको, an organization is a large organization or big organization if its sales or revenue that it generates is high. हैन? Yes. You know, certain this company is a 200 million turnover company भन्यो भने it's a big company, right? A company which makes a turnover of, for example, 10 million in a year is a small company. त्यसबाट पनि थाहा हुन्छ कतिको revenue generate गर्छ, कतिको sales गर्छ, that also defines that which is a large company and which is a small company or organization, right? Okay. What could be a difference in terms of rules and regulations when we talk about large organization and small organization? We're just trying to understand the concept, right? Kasto huncha bhanne basics about organization. Keep up.
Sir, so in smaller organizations, the rules for making a project can be a little less strict and rather than the ones in the larger, because when we're in a larger company, there have to be a lot of productions that we need and a lot of variety to be made for the consumers. So
Right.
the rules have to be a lot more strict and efficient for the staffs to follow.
Okay. In terms of, like what I'm trying to say is, if it is a large organization or if it's a small organization, where do you have more flexibility? In which organization do you think there is more flexibility in working environment? It's in a small organization or in a large organization?
So I think it's more flexible in a smaller company because in a larger company there are a lot of other people that we need, other resources that we need to keep in account to. But in smaller one, it'll be easier.
So there is more flexibility in small company and there is more rigidness in large company.
Yes, sir.
Why does that happen, Minav?
What I think is the question you put upon was what I think is bigger organization make different rules based on the reasons where they are placed. I mean, if you are placed in if you are if you are a multinational company and if you are placed in somewhere near the Middle East, and if you're the same company, if you're somewhere placed in China and somewhere placed in Europe, you may have different rules and regulations based on the reason you're in and based on the culture and based on the things the people of that region may like or dislike. So if the company manages or if the company has those rules and regulations based on the reason they are placed in, I think that may uh, somehow replicate on how we perceive as a how we perceive an organization to be a bigger or a smaller organization, because smaller organization may not have that resources to put those regulations and those particular set of antiques in those set of reasons. So what I think is a big organization has those resources and they can amplify those resources and make use of that resources and putting those rules and regulation in place. So that's what I think, sir. A bigger organization may have those rules and regulation and they can do that in a proper manner than a small organization, if I may so, if I say may so.
Okay. In small organization, what happens is actually in small organization, you can directly supervise your employees and subordinates. Like if you are a small startup, for example, if you have like 5 employees in your company, then you as a CEO or you as the MD can supervise all of those people directly. Okay, if you are a small company. But what happens is when the company grows and it becomes very large, then you cannot supervise each and every employee directly as you can do in a small company. So it automatically, requires rules and regulations when it becomes large, because those supervision, those close monitoring cannot be done in a large company as you can do in a small company. So it naturally becomes a very formalized organization where you have to have rules and regulations to have the people work, sticking to what organization actually wants them to work like. So just uh, as a natural phenomenon, we can say that whenever it's a large company, then there are more rules and regulations, because those are the things that keep the people working, because there is no constant monitoring and interactions with the people as you can have in a small company. I know. So it's very flexible kind of a working environment that you will see in a small company, whereas as it grows, then there will be coded rules and regulations, and that will guide you to work accordingly. I know. So small and big organizations are. So and what are the differences that you will? So this can also happen in terms of like uh, uh, technology. For example, what kind of a technology you have, or what kind of a technology that your organization adopt, also makes its operations different. I know. For example, if your organization is based on the technology where there is more, human involvement. For example, if you are an organization where you make, let's say, it's a small company where you make handmade things. I know one technology that we can consider is it's the technology where there is more human involvement. But at the same time, you see, there are companies where you have automated mass production systems, and another technology can be continuous production system. यसो गर्दाखेरि के हुन्छ भन्दाखेरि you're a small organization where there is a very primitive kind of a technology where you are not involving much machines and equipments हो भने the way you work will be different in such technology based company हो भने as you go to a continuous kind of a production system, for example, hydropower ko kura garum na haina, it is continuously producing. There is no interruptions in between the production over it. Then it's all automated. There again, you will not see much human interventions at the workplace. Similarly, talking about government and non-government organizations, what could be different? Someone Okay, you're right. In government organizations, most of the decision making is centralized. I know. Most of the decision making is centralized because the authority is not delegated to the lower level people. The power or the authority is kept at the center or at the top. So it has to go through number of steps to reach the top, and the top or the center will make the decision, and that's why it takes longer time for the work to be processed in government organization as compared to government organization. In private organization, this delegation of authority is given to the lower levels, or it's more decentralized kind of decision making. So they, as the hierarchy that you have in decision making is very long, it will definitely take long time, as opposed to you are having a flat organization where there are not many levels, then the decision making will be quick. Ainda? Right? Okay. Okay, just with this is just a very basic kind of you might be seeing different kind of organizations, and different kinds of organization will work differently. I know, based on size, based on technology, based on being private or government, the way of organizations performing their tasks or activities will be different. भन्न खोजेको हो यो organizations को बतालाई. Okay, now we will talk about one of the main features of an organization. Without this feature, there is no organization goal. So if there is no goal, there would not have been any organization. Organizations exist because they want to achieve certain goal. हैन? So organizations goal भन्दाखेरि के हो त भन्दाखेरि it's the reason behind the existence of organization. हैन? Right? Organization goal भनेकै त्यो organization बन्नुको reason हो, to achieve that goal. Otherwise there isn't that organization. So that is the reason. Goal, actually, the organizational goal is the reason for existence of your organizations. Otherwise, your organization will not exist. And it is also the desired state of the organizations. It's the it's the place that you want to be. Now if this is your existing state, and you want to be somewhere here. So that is, you want to reach here, you want to reach to that destination, you want to achieve that desired thing that you have. So that is that desired state that you want to achieve is your goal. Okay, right? Your goal can be, you are now a student doing IT. Your desired state is to be a software engineer or software programmer or code. That is your desired state, and that is your goal. You are not at that state, but that you want to be in that state. So that is your goal. An organization goal is something that is the objectives that you want to achieve, and they are very strategic in nature. Strategic भन्दाखेरि के बुझिन्छ? What do you mean by strategic? Strategic.
To make a plan, so to make a plan, tactics here बनाउनु.
Yeah, you do it. You also set certain course to reach there, to reach to your desired state. So you have to do lot of analysis. You don't do it for a it's not a tactic. Tactic भनेको चाहिँ कस्तो हुन्छ भने you do it for a to get the result in a short period of time, not doing much analysis. होइन? Strategic भन्यो भने you have to be doing it with much analysis for a long term. हो भने that is the strategic objectives. Strategically set. You कुनै temporary kind of objectives होइन, not tactical things that you are doing, but it is done for like a long period of time. That is the main organizational goal, the corporate goal. Expected results and outcomes. So it is nothing. Goals is just your results or outcomes that you are expecting. Okay, and organization goals are the things that actually guide employees. If you do not have goal, then you will be misleading your employees. If there is certain goal, and then you know what your goal is, then only there is a path towards that destination. If you do not have that destination, if you do not have that destination defined, then there will be no right course to reach there. So it is the guiding path. If you have a goal, then that is actually guiding your employees towards it. Okay, so in a crux, in a nutshell, what we can say about organization goal is it's the desired end. Okay, it's the desired end that is your ultimate destination that organization intends to achieve in future. So this is, whenever we talk about goals, it is future oriented. We are achieving that in future, and for that you have to perform activities. So organization goal is your desired state or desired end which you want to achieve in future by performing certain activities or actions, taking certain actions. Till here, anything?
No, sir. No, sir.
ठिक छ सर.
ठीक छ? Okay.
ठिक छ सर.
Now we'll talk why do we have to have this goals. Okay. So what are the purposes of goal? The purposes of goals is to provide direction. This is not goals, eh? This is okay. The purpose of goal is to provide direction and guide. Okay. So one of the reasons that your goals, let's say, it will provide you the direction. So all the members of the organization will have a path to walk towards. If you have certain goal, for example, a goal can be, the return on my investment, it has to be, my goal is to have my return on investment 10%. मैले जति इन्भेस्ट गरेँ यो अर्गनाइजेसनमा मलाई चाहिँ यसको 10% रिटर्न चाहिन्छ भन्ने गोल भयो भने then everybody will work towards getting that return. So that is actually the goal. If you have that goal, then that goal will be providing you with the direction and will be guiding you to achieve that. Okay? All right. And another purpose of this goals is to develop organizational plan. So if, unless and until you do not have any plan, if you have destination set, if you had your end defined, then only you can pave path towards that. हैन कुन बाटो जाने भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ नि तब मात्रै डिसाइड हुन्छ when you know your destination. So and only if you know your goals, even if you only if you know your desired state, then only you will be making plans. How I can reach there, what should I do to reach there, and what I should do to reach there is nothing but it's your plan. Okay, so there has to be a goal, then only you will be making plan to reach there. So as I said earlier, this is also a motivating factor for the employees or for the members of the organization. Okay, if there is a goal, then people are motivated. If you do not have any set goal, or if you do not have any defined goal, then the people will just work haphazardly. हैन? If you say you got 10% चाहिँ हामीले return चाहिन्छ भनेर goal set गरिसकेपछि, then people will be motivated to achieve that. If you do not have any percentage of return that you मलाई यो यति return चाहिन्छ भन्ने गोलै छैन भने, then what would the workers or the employees work for, right? So that is one thing. Another important purpose of these goals is to evaluate and control. Okay, so now you have certain goal, then that goal is actually the measuring yard, whether you are performing or not performing, whether you are achieving, I mean, whether you are approaching towards that destination or not, so that if there is any deviations, if there is any distraction from that path towards that goal, then you can measure. You know, if there is a goal, if you're approaching towards that or not, that is something that you can evaluate. And if you are shying away from that path, or if you are not approaching towards that goal, or if you're getting less effective, then you can bring about the controlling mechanisms. Then you can adopt, or you can bring in controlling actions to bring those activities in track so that you reach that destination. Destination ay bhayo bhane you don't know where you will reach, and you don't know how you correct your moves. But only when you have that destination, or when only you have that end, then you know something is going wrong. Then you can do the evaluations whether your actions are in line with your strategy or your course of action. If they are not, then you can use the control. You can bring about the controlling actions so that you do not deviate much from the goals that you have intended to achieve. Right? Perfect?
Perfect, sir.
Okay. Now talking about types of goals. What are the different types of goals that the organization can have? So here, the organization goals are the types of the organization goals are divided into two types, one based on the organizational level. So whenever we talk about the organization, then there are their levels. But as I said, in a small company, there might be a few levels within the organization. But in large company, there might be very large number of levels within. It becomes very hierarchical, the large organization. But in a small organization, you'll have less levels. So small organizations are generally flat organization, and large organizations are generally tall organizations where you have many hierarchies in between. So on the basis of that, how many levels that you have, there are three types of organization goals. One is called the corporate goals, then the tactical goals, and then the operational goals. And on the basis of time, you can have long-term goals, short-term goal, and mid-term goal. Okay? So corporate goal is the goal, overall goal of the organization. It's the goal of the organization. Pura organization kai goal like it's the corporate goal. And in order to achieve that corporate goal, then you will have all these tactical goals. त्यो corporate goal meet गर्नको लागि अर्को अब departments units हरुले चाहिँ नि कसरी goals हरु बनाउने भन्ने comes under your tactical goals. And in order to achieve that departmental goals, what would be the operational goals of every unit or every workstation? Those are the operational goals. So operational goals, once achieved, will contribute to achieving tactical goals. And once the tactical goals are achieved, then you are also achieving the corporate goal. So this goes like that. All right. So operational goals are very, the grass level goals, where you are, for example, एउटा फ्याक्ट्रीको कुरा गर्ने हो भने, then it's the goals of every workstation. Okay, so once these goals are achieved, then त्यो unit or त्यो department को goal achieve हुन्छ. त्यो डिपार्टमेन्टहरु सबै डिपार्टमेन्टहरुको गोल अचिभ भइसकेपछि then only the corporate goal will be achieved. So it goes in that order. Okay, now corporate goal भनेको चाहिँ it's the organization level goal. यो चाहिँ it's the biggest goal of the organization. It's the topmost goal that the organization tries to achieve. So it has got two things. One is mission and another is strategy. Let me ask you questions because I've been talking only. What do you think is strategy? Just a moment. Strategy. Okay, before strategy, let me ask, what is the mission? Mission. I want a volunteer.
मिसन भनेको चाहिँ गोलमा पुग्नु हो सर, हैन? मिसन भनेको चाहिँ अब यस्तो हो, अब जस्ट त्यो गर्नै पर्छ, त्यहाँ पुग्नै पर्छ, त्यहाँ पुगिसकेपछि मात्रै अब अचिभमेन्ट पाइन्छ, सक्सेस पाइन्छ भन्ने जस्तो भयो मिसन चाहिँ. अनि स्ट्र्याटेजी भनेको चाहिँ अब कस्तो भन्दाखेरि लङ टर्म बेसिसमा हेर्ने हो भने चाहिँ नि अब जस्ट प्लान बनाउने, हैन? सबै कुराहरु क्याल्कुलेट गर्ने, एनालाइज गर्ने, हैन? सबैतिरबाट अब लोअर म्यानेजमेन्ट भयो, टप म्यानेजमेन्टहरुले आफ्नो रेस्पोन्सिबिलिटी लिने, हैन? अनि त्यसपछि एउटा स्ट्र्याटेजिक फ्लो प्लान बनाउने अनि त्यसमा अगाडि बढ्ने भयो. आई थिंक सो.
Okay. Also, यसमा चाहिँ I will also put here one more thing, which is called the vision.
हजुर सर.
ल, अब यहाँ vision छ, mission छ, strategy छ. Let's try to distinguish between these three things. Vision of an organization, mission of an organization, a strategy of an organization. As who was it called? Pukaro.
हजुर सर
Yeah, Pukar said it's a mission is के अरे
मिसन भनेको चाहिँ कस्तो भन्दाखेरि एउटा अब टार्गेट भयो होइन वी हेभ टु रिच देयर अनि आफ्टर वी रिच देयर वी विल गेट सक्सेस होइन हामीले 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 जुन प्लान गरेको कुराहरू हाम्रो मिसन सक्सेस भइसके पछाडि हामीले पाउँछौँ होइन अनि स्ट्राटेजी भनेको चाहिँ नि प्लानिङ गर्ने लोवर लेभलबाट हुन्छ कि टप म्यानेजमेन्टबाट हुन्छ आफ्नो रेस्पोन्सिबिलिटी लिएर अनि त्यस पछाडि सबै कुराहरू क्यालकुलेट गरेर एनालाइज गरेर कति कुराहरू चाहिन्छ कति रिसोर्सेस चाहिन्छ अनि हो त्यो प्लान वेमा चाहिँ नि स्ट्राटेजीको एउटा फ्लो बनाउने
Okay, good. Let me ask who hasn't spoken. Yeah. Who is it? Amrit. How many times do I have to tell you to turn your videos on and you never do that? Why? I can see only few faces here. Okay, any idea what's a vision of an organization? We're trying to distinguish between vision, mission, and strategy, which are the very organizational, corporate kind of goals that an organization sets.
भिजन भनेको अब त्यो जुन हाम्रो त्यो गोल हुन्छ त्यसको बारेमा चाहिँ पहिले सोचेर केही प्लान बनाउने त हो त पहिले सोच्ने त्यसको बारेमा
Can you give me an example of any vision? Vision यस्तो हुन्छ भन्ने कुनै example दिन सक्छौ? For example, you might have seen, like, you know, our vision is to be a #1 software company. भन्यो नि कसैले त्यसरी भनिरा हुन्छ, right? Our vision is to be a #1 software company. So this is a very, very long term and very, very ambitious goal that you have. You goal kasto huncha bhandakeri yo chahi vision. This is something that you will achieve in a very, very long period of time, or you might not achieve that. It's not necessary that you will achieve that. It's a vision that you want to see yourself in certain number of years. So that's a vision, and that is actually the very aspirational kind of a goal that you set, so that becomes an inspiration for the employees. That actually works as a vision. ले चाहिँ धेरै motivations को काम गरिरहेको हुन्छ, inspirations को काम गरिरहेको हुन्छ. That might not be achievable. यो चाहिँ vision भनेको चाहिँ it might not be achievable, but it is there in order to have that aspirational or inspirational and motivating effects on the employees or the members of the organization. यस्तो चीजहरुलाई चाहिँ vision हुन्छ त्यो चाहिँ, right? And coming down to a little smaller goal, which is called the mission. Mission is actually the reason for your existence. Okay, mission चाहिँ कस्तो हुन्छ? The example of a mission is like, the mission of my software company is to provide the quality softwares to Nepalese industries at the most affordable prices. त्यस्तो चीज चाहिँ mission हुन्छ. Why have you actually started your business? That is your mission. मेरो mission चाहिँ के भएर आयो भने, यहाँ म चाहिँ त्यस्तो सफ्टवेयर कम्पनी हुन्छु जसले चाहिँ नि यहाँको नेपाली इन्डस्ट्रीहरुमा चाहिँ नि मोस्ट अफोर्डेबल प्राइसेसमा चाहिँ मैले सफ्टवेयर दिन्छु. यसको लागि मैले यो अर्गनाइजेसन बनाएको हो. That is mission. This is not something as Pukar said, यो कुनै टार्गेटै चाहिँ होइन. it's actually the purpose हो के यो चाहिँ मिशन भनेको चाहिँ किन यो अर्गनाइजेसन नै किन बन्यो भन्ने चाहिँ नि मिशन हो the mission of Coca-Cola for example can be the mission of Coca-Cola is to quench the thirst of the people उसले चाहिँ नि मान्छेको प्यास मेटाउनको लागि कुनै अर्गनाइजेसन खडा गरेको छ भने that is the mission के त्यो चाहिँ उसको mission the purpose of existence and that is the very very huge kind of a corporate kind of a goal that you set. Okay, now you know the difference between vision and mission.
Yes sir, बुझे sir मैले.
Okay, and once you have got the mission, then the strategy is exactly what Pukar said is the course of action that you take. त्यो corporate goal को लागि जुन it's in Nepali it is called रणनीति भन्छ नि हैन. So these are the bigger steps or the course of actions that you take to achieve what you have actually organized your organization to achieve. You know the difference of vision, mission, and strategy को फरक थाहा भयो?
Yes sir.
Okay. अब coming to tactical goals. So that is the त्यो corporate goal भयो हैन तिनीहरु चाहिँ the bigger the big or the biggest level of goals that you set is the corporate goal. Now in order to achieve that, then you have to have the tactical goals. Your short term in your tactical goals, these are the tactical goals that are set within the departments. Okay, so types of goals based on time frame. Long term goals haru bhaneko chai kasto huncha bhane it's the goal that are generally set for for a time length of like 5 years or more. 5 वर्ष भन्दा बढीको लागि अचिभ हुने गोलहरुलाई चाहिँ नि it's long term goal. Okay, within 5 years, if your market share at this moment, your software industry ma chahi if your market share is like 2% अहिले market share of all the software sales in Nepal, and if you are having like 2% market share and you want to increase your market share, or you wanted to have that market share as 10% market share चाहिँ नि म 10 वर्ष भित्र चाहिँ नि म यो 2% मात्रै मेरो अहिलेको market share, I want to have my market share 10% in 10 years भनेर राख्यो भने that is your long term goal. If it is set for 5 years or more, then it's a long term goal. Okay, and the mid-term goals are these, from 1 year to 5 years. अब त्यहीमा चाहिँ नि 10 वर्षमा चाहिँ नि 10% market share ल्याउँछु भने mid term मा चाहिँ नि you might say that within this 4 years or within my 3 years I will increase my market share to 5%. 2 बाट 5 सम्म चाहिँ म यो 3 वर्षमा ल्याउँछु भन्ने भने that is the mid term goal. Short term goal is basically the 1 year goal हुन्छ यो short term चाहिँ. Within 1 year my market share will be 3% भन्यो भने within 1 year I will have my market share increase to 3% भन्यो भने if it is this just the time based ones. Okay, एक वर्ष भित्रमा गर्ने खालको गोल भयो भने that is the short term goal. If it is the goal that you intend to achieve from 1 year to 5 years, normally it's called the mid-term goal, and the goal that you want to achieve after 5 वर्ष भन्दा माथिको लागि if you set any goal, that is the long-term goal. Clear? This is just the time-based goals. Now, features of effective organizational goals. Organization को goals बनाउँदाखेरि चाहिँ नि how should these goals be like? So whenever you are setting organizational goals, your goals have to be SMART. SMART goals भन्छ. SMART stands for specific, measurable, agreed upon, realistic, and time bound. यति चाहिँ नि त्यो features हुनु पर्यो when you are making any goals, when you are defining any goal. So your goals should not be very vague. त्यही भएर भिजनलाई त्यति गोल मानिँदैन. ओके, अघि मैले भिजन पनि त्यहाँ राखेँ नि, in order to make it clear to you. Vision भनेको चाहिँ it's very vague. I want to be number one. I want to be the leading company. I want to be this भनेर it's a very inspirational, aspiring, एकदम vague kind of goals भएको रे. Vision is not considered as a goal. But whenever it's goal, it has to be very, very specific. S of SMART, right? S of SMART. It has to be specific. What are you talking about? It has to be clear. Like I said, your return on investment has to be 10%. You're very specific about what your goal is. यो चाहिँ मैले मेरो रिटर्नको कुरा गरिरहेको छु, मैले मार्केट शेयरको कुरा गरिरहेको छु, हैन? So that is you're being very specific about what your goals is about. So whenever you are setting goals, you have to be very, very specific what you are talking about. It should be vague. So once this is specific, then that also becomes measurable. अब अघिकै एक्जाम्पलमा हामी एकछिन बसिराखौँ कि your goal of the organization is to have 10% return on investment. So what are we talking about? We are talking about ROI, return on investment. So that is you being very, very specific about your goal. मेरो goal भनेको return on investment is to be 10%. Very specific. Now you can measure that. Once that is specific, you can measure that at the end of 1 year. अब मैले चाहिँ नि 1 वर्षमा मेरो return on investment 10% गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने goal त्यति specify गरिसकेपछि what you can do is in the end of the year you can measure that. What is your investment and what is your return? Is it 10% of your investment? You can measure that. So whenever you are setting goals, it has to be measurable to see whether you have achieved it or not. Clear? So it has to be measurable. So, and another very important, factor or the feature that you have to have in your goals is the agreed, it is the acceptability among everybody in the organization. एउटा गोल बनाउने भनेपछि it cannot be coming from one member. माथिबाट मात्रै आएर पनि हुँदैन, not only from the workers मात्र आएर पनि हुँदैन. It has to be agreed by everybody. Then only it will be achieved. Everybody will then own that, will work towards achieving that. ल यो चाहिँ नि 10% गर्ने हो भनेर एउटाले भन्यो, and rest of the members they actually are skeptical about achieving that. त्यो हुनै सक्दैन, उनीहरुले agree नै गरिसकेको छैन भने then that will not be an effective goal. So everybody, whenever you are sitting together, setting the goals, all the relevant members, all the stakeholders inside your organization have to agree. Okay, we now all agree to get this, ROI in 1 year. But सबैले agree गरेको चाहिँ हुनुपर्छ, then only it will be effective. Otherwise, if certain units, certain departments have not agreed on that, it will not be effective. So it has to be also agreed upon across the organization. Okay. Now coming to R. R means realistic. You cannot set the goal which is not realistic. For example, as I said, it's 10% ROI. If you said, okay, I want to have the return on investment 50%, which is not actually realistic, it is not going to be effective at all. So it has to be realistic. It has to be something relevant. It has to be something achievable. हुने चिज गर्न पर्यो goal भनेको. You set something which is not achievable, then that will not be effective. Okay? And whenever you are setting goals, whenever you are formulating goals, then it has to be also time bound. Give it a time frame. In 1 year, in 5 years, in 10 years, in 2 years, के त? So at the end of the time, यति हामीले गर्नुपर्छ. If you just keep it free, if it is not bound by time, then it will not be effective. मैले 2 वर्षमा यो गर्नुपर्छ भनेपछि that is the target that you were given. So then only you try to do it, or you try to achieve it by the end of that time. So it has to be closed by time. You cannot just keep it open. Okay, so these are the effectiveness features of goal. So whenever you are setting goals, they have to be effective. For those goals to be effective, then you have to have these features, these smart features in your organization goal. Okay. Anything from your side, Tirtharaj?
No, sir.
Everything clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. मैले चाहिँ नि एउटा example दिएँ, the return on investment 10% हुनुपर्छ भन्ने एउटा गोल स्पेसिफिक बनायो, which is also measurable. 10% भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ नि यो 10% सेट गर्दाखेरि सबैले अग्री पनि गर्न पर्यो, and 10% is something that is realistic. We are not just making any goal त्यतिकै हावामा बनाएको हुँदैन. 10% भनेको it's quite reasonable kind of a goal that we are setting. र मैले यो 1 वर्ष भित्रमा चाहिँ यति अचिभ गर्छु भनेर टाइम बाउन्ड गर्यो भने. And just give me another example of goal which is smart. कुनै पनि अर्गनाइजेसन को एउटा अर्को एक्जाम्पल, रिटर्न अन इन्भेस्टमेन्ट हैन, अर्को कुनै एक्जाम्पल देऊ, and let us try to see whether it is smart or not. एउटा गोल स्टेटमेन्ट चाहियो मलाई from your side.
Sir, are you asking me?
Yes.
So maybe the number of customers at the end of the year.
Okay, the number of customers, give a number, for example.
Maybe 1 lakh, 2 lakh.
Okay, so 1 lakh people will be buying software from my company in 1 year. That is the statement of your goal. एक वर्षमा मसँग 1 लाख जनाले चाहिँ नि software किन्छ.
The number,
huh?
yes, sir. The number may not be realistic, but that may be a goal. That may be a smart goal.
But if it is not realistic, don't have that 1 lakh. हैन?
Maybe 10,000 or 5,000.
10,000 हुन सक्छ अथवा 1,000. अहिले चाहिँ 1,000 जना, अहिले 500 जना मात्रै क्लाइन्ट छ. Now you want to take it to 1,000. हो भने make it just realistic based on whatever you have now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So then it's very specific. See, it's the number of customers. We are talking about having the number of clients. कति हुनुपर्छ भन्ने कुराको we are talking about. Measurable at the end of the time that you have set. Try to see whether you have achieved 10,000 or not.
Yes, sir.
And make sure that 10,000 set गर्दाखेरि सबैले हामी अर्गनाइजेसन भरिकोले चाहिँ नि ओके 10,000 त हुन्छ भनेर चाहिँ अग्री गरेको हो कि होइन. Make sure.
Yes, sir.
And then as you said, it's realistic. अहिले त 500 गरिरहेको छौँ, अब 1000 पुग्छ भन्ने हो भने चाहिँ that is realistic होला. That is also something that you have to make sure. And 1 वर्षभित्र हामीले गर्छ कि गर्दैन भनेर it's just time on, close it by time. See, so that you can measure at the end of the period. So
Yes, sir.
whenever you're setting goals, try to make smart goals. Make smart goals. All right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we'll be talking about how these goals are formulated, or how these goals are set. So there are different approaches. So whenever you are in an organization, you can take different approaches of setting goals. Okay. So one of the very popular or common approach or approaches is to have top-down approach. So as I said, there are different levels within the organization. So generally, top-down approach adopts the way of setting the goal, which is actually set at the top. Top level managers, CEO or MD or the owner of the business, they will set the goal. Okay, they will set the goal. Okay, we are going to have this goal, and that goal will be disseminated to the lower level people, lower level departments or lower level units, and they will own that, getting it from the top. Okay, we are going to have 10% return on investment भनेर चाहिँ नि माथिबाट सेट गरिदिन्छ and will be disseminated to the lower level. हो भने that comes from the top, हो भने that is the top down approach. All right. अर्को approach चाहिँ के हुन्छ भने it comes from the bottom. Bottom ले चाहिँ नि पठाउँछ माथि. Okay, so this is our status at this moment. In next 1 year, we'll be having this. Whenever you set the goals at the bottom and then you take it to the top for approval. That is another way. And the third way is the management by objectives, which is actually the team-based approach, where the upper level and lower level sit together. They assign different responsibilities to the people, and they also do this feedback and command and feedback, two-way communications, working as a team, and also tie up with rewards for achieving that. It's formulated and also implemented in a team. That is the management by objectives. These are the three approaches generally taken up in formulating goals. Now, we'll have a little bit of discussion here. Now, top down, formulated at the top, disseminated downwards. Bottom up, the people at the bottom will formulate and take it to the top for approval. Management by objectives is the team-based or the participatory kind of approach that we adopt.